Just stick up this Mindset Central sticker. Just take the back off it. If I can get the back off. Sorry, won't be a moment. Come on. That's it. Just come in. I'll stick it on that because that's... There we are. I stuck it on this because it's an old one. It's not getting in anyone's way. MindsetCentral.com. Go there. That's one of the radio shows where you'll see me featured. Anyway, hospital porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to Panwo TV and welcome to Exopol 2013, which is my reportage on the 5th annual British Exopolitics Expo. And as you can see, I'm at a coach station, and shortly I'll be heading off to sunny Huddersfield, or not so sunny, to this conference that I've been looking forward to for a very long time. I have here the actual header for it, as you see, the 5th annual British Exopolitics Expo at the University of Huddersfield, September the 28th, 2013. The Exopolitics Expos have actually moved around quite a bit. They were originally in Leeds, then last year they moved to Liverpool, if you remember my video, Disclosure City People, which is my reportage of the 4th one. And now they've moved back to West Yorkshire to Huddersfield, which is a place I've never been to before. So it might be sunny, you never know. But anyway, I'm pretty excited now, getting ready to go. Somewhere I've never been before, and somewhere where there'll be this amazing conference, which, as you know, I'm very fond of. And I hope you'll enjoy it as you accompany me on this brilliant expedition, this adventure that I'm on this weekend. I'm wearing an appropriate t-shirt, as you see. Time for make another crop circle. My little alien t-shirt. Appropriate hat too, darkconspiracy.com, which is now a defunct website, but it's where I kind of cut my conspiratorial teeth. Now, returning to the menu, so to speak, there's exopoliticsgreatbritain.com, exopoliticsgb.com, that's where you go. As you see, there's the 5th annual British Exopolitics Expo at the University of Huddersfield, September the 28th, 2013, which is tomorrow. And because the university should be a bit busier than the one in Leeds we were at, because it was holidays and there were no students there and everything was closed up basically, almost, which is why we had these catering problems in 2011. This is going to be very different. There'll be plenty of people around, everything will be open, hopefully we'll have a drink, have some food and things like that. But I expect the students there will have a good laugh at us. You can bet, can't you? Anyway, this conference is just a one-day conference this year. They're packing an awful lot into that one day. Neil Atkinson is the Master of Ceremonies, of course, of Planet X Radio, which of course is another radio show I do along with Mindset Central and Critical Mass Radio. Richard Dolan, who you've heard of before, I'm sure. Some of these names will be familiar to you. In fact, I think all of them will, except this man here. Anyway, Richard Dolan, of course, is he's this historian and activist for the Exopolitics Disclosure Movement. Marcus Allen, editor of Nexus magazine. I'll have to have a word with him actually, because I have to renew my subscription to Nexus and I have to pay by cash these days. He's going to be talking about the moon, which is always very interesting, what he has to say about the moon. Andrew Johnson will be talking about the moon and many other things as well, because he's been studying the entire solar system, Mars, and the moons of Saturn, and many other places as well. And all is not what it seems in the solar system. There's many objects there that really shouldn't be there as such. Anthony Beckett, who was featured as a guest on Panwo Radio a few weeks ago, is the organiser of the 5th annual British Exopolitics Expo, and he's going to be doing a speech. I'm not sure what about yet, but I will let you know. You'll find out. Now, this is the new face actually we've never had before at this event, and he's kind of a very interesting guy. And he's an unusual guy to have at these sort of conferences. His name is Professor Chandra Wickrama Singh, And he's a very mainstream guy normally. I mean, he is an astronomer, and he used to work alongside Professor Fred Hoyle, who was a very, very famous physicist and cosmologist, who was actually the Astronomer Royal for many years. And Professor Wickramasinghe was his colleague. And now he has a very, very interesting ideas, because he has pioneered the idea of panspermia. Now this is the theory that organic material and life, in other words, or the biochemistry of life, or life itself, can travel through space by natural means. Now that is a fascinating idea, because it means that life, we often hear that life, you know, has to develop independently on each planet. Well, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it develops on one planet and it travels through space to other planets by natural means. And I'm very, very interested to hear what he has to say, because there's a lot of evidence now coming out. If you recall the red rain in India, or was it Sri Lanka last year, they found microbes in it that don't match any form of Earth life. And there's just been another story released about microscopic organisms found in the upper atmosphere that don't seem to have originated from anywhere on Earth. So this is now becoming pretty much a mainstream idea, and it changes the whole playing field when it comes to speculating about life in the universe and life on other planets. So it's very, very relevant to exopolitics, because through the method of panspermia, given enough time, life could originate in a single place and travel through the universe, almost like seeds on the wind. In fact, the word actually means seeds everywhere. Really, really interesting. I'm looking forward to that enormously. So here we go. So I now have to go and get a coach that will take me to Huddersfield. So here we go. Exciting this is, isn't it? Very exciting. There's my Mindset Central sticker. Do go there. Here we are. Right, see you there. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, stop the New World Order. Thanks very much. There I am. Well, Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, stop the New World Order. I've made it, and here I am. See, there's proof. Huddersfield bus station. It's a place I've never been to before, but it's nice to have. I'm here with Colin, as you all know, from the UFO Academy. Many other collaborations we've done.
Adventures, yeah.
I'm just going to get in so I don't get too much sun on the camera, but as you can see here, over the last, this is now the 4th day. I tried filming this in Sheffield, it didn't work very well because I was stopped in Sheffield. You see, look over there. Yeah, look over there. He's a lovely blue sky in much of the heavens, the Welkind. But there you see, there's a plane with a normal contrail there. You see, that's a normal contrail. It's dissolving. But much of the country, I know Oxford, and it's obviously up here in Yorkshire as well, has been under a sustained chemtrail attack now for over 4 days. I've not seen anything like this for quite a long time. I mean, I've noticed, I don't know if you have, Colin, as well, because Colin's from London, so he's from the same region of the country as me. But chemtrails in that region, in southern England, tend to come, you tend to get like a day of it, and then there's nothing for a week. Have you noticed that?
Well, there's so many flights, because at the airport, you see, I mean, there's planes going over every few minutes and that. So, I mean, I've sort of given up looking, but I mean, I'm sure that they're all there, to be honest with you.
They've kind of become normal. I mean, some people have written to their MPs about them. They generally get either a very sarcastic replies. Izzy Smart recently did, if you watch Izzy Smart's videos, or they just ignore you, or they say they're going to look into it and you never hear from them again because they're obviously warned off. People like Sir Anthony Steen, the MP for South Devon, he was warned off. But anyway, we're here. you know, I'm gonna look on the bright side. We're here at the Exopolitics,
Beautiful
the
day.
5th annual British Exopolitics Expo. I'm here with Colin, and
Yeah, this is going to be good. Very interesting. Some
Yeah.
good speakers lined up. So,
Yeah,
it's only a one-day event, though, sadly.
that's a shame, isn't it?
But it'll be good.
Let's have a look. I've got these.
Not just about the speakers, it's also about the people who attend.
Oh, definitely, most definitely. Oh, most definitely. And here's the little blurb. I showed you this earlier, everyone. But who are you most looking forward to seeing, Colin?
Well, I've seen, of course, Richard Dolan. I've seen him. I must have seen him because I've been to a few of the conferences in America, so I've seen him a few times now. I've actually seen, I think, all of his speakers. Even this guy here. I think he's
Chandra Kramer Singh.
I think I've seen him before.
Yeah.
Well, I've definitely seen Marcus Allen, and I know Anthony Nunes, and I'm not sure who the first guy is.
That's Neil Atkinson, who runs Planet X Radio.
Okay.
He's who, of course, he's sort of my boss, although I don't. He doesn't pay me anything, but he runs Planet X Radio. But I'm really looking forward to it. Shame it's just one day, but they had to. The problem is, it's basically they've had people. The skeptics say this is a big money-making exercise. I've never heard anything so ridiculous in my life.
There's nothing to be made in this subject.
Do they understand how much money? This is what the Sun did. Do you remember in 2011, man? The Sun newspaper did a report of, which a few people had the foolishness to get involved with. All with help thanks to Nick Pope. Of course, you can always thank Popey for these things. Yeah. But they said that they made a big fuss about how the tickets cost so much, and they kept asking Anthony how much profit he made, and they never really. The thing about it was, though, I mean, Anthony subsidises this damn thing out of his own pocket.
Yeah, that's a labour of love, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
that's what it is.
This will hopefully be the first one where he actually breaks even. I mean, unfortunately, he's had to pare it down to one day, because this is where the skeptics go wrong. I mean, I've been to a skeptic conference, unlike many people on our side. I've been to the TAM London, and we were just talking about skeptics in the pub.
I mean, I went to the 14 event last night, but yeah, there's skeptics in the pub. But it's annoying. I mean, it's sort of it should be skeptics stroke believers in the pub, in my opinion, because that sort of almost it probably encourages more people to go, because no one wants to say that they're a believer about anything in this day and age. It's kind of sad, really. So they err towards skeptics. And there was like the 14 event in London last night. There was lots of people there. But yeah, there's the Greenwich skeptics and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, they're pretty down on any sort of reality to what these subjects are, which is a real sort of.
Yeah, I'd love to go to one of those, actually. I'd love to go to
Greenwich would be interesting.
Yeah, I'd love to go to one of the 14 events.
Yeah, that's in East Aldgate, that is. So that's worth doing a plug for that. It was packed last night.
Yeah, I'd like to go to
They had
that.
4 speakers there. Yeah.
Nice. I'd like to go to that. But it's a shame, though, because the TAM London conference was enormously elaborate. It was in the Hilton Metropole. It was definitely the most upmarket conference I've been to. It was basically a skeptic AV. It was incredibly elaborate. Even more, I mean.
ASAP, was that the other one?
ASAP, that was fairly elaborate, but this was so posh, it was unbelievable.
Have you ever been to a 14 times conference?
Oh, the unconvention?
Yeah.
No, I'd like to go to that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't think there's one this year, but anyway, I've never been to Huddersfield before.
This is our first time here, so
yeah.
should we do a bit of exploring? And
I think so. There must be some places of interest. There's certainly.
There's nice pubs and things like that.
Well, this is it, but it's much more.
I've got a map, luckily. I'll see you guys later, and next point of interest, I will let you know. Hospital Porters, Pride and Dignity, it's Top New World Order. This is me, and this is Colin.
Top the New World Order.
That's it.
See you later on.
And that there is the bronze cast of a big statue in the centre of Huddersfield, just outside the railway station, of Harold Wilson, Lord Wilson as Rivolks, however you pronounce that. Born 1916, died 1995.
Is that French?
Revolts, it's French, maybe Norman type thing, but born in Huddersfield, Prime Minister 1964 to 70 and 1974 to 76. So it's not often there's 2 people are Prime Minister twice, is it, Colin?
Well,
is there any other examples?
I'm not an expert on the Prime Minister, but yeah, I'm a bit surprised I didn't know that, but it's not my specialist subject.
Yeah. But someone being Prime Minister, I've not heard of anything like that before, certainly not in my lifetime. We've had first Prime Minister, I remember Margaret Thatcher, founded the Open University, Learn and Live. This is what he's famous for. This statue was supported by public subscriptions, and as most politicians, he has his arse face to the public.
Yeah, turning his back to the masses.
Through the National Lottery, the leader this is a quote from him. The leader of the party, and no less the Prime Minister, has a duty to meet the people. Anyway, this gentleman, he was probably the Labour Party's most successful Prime Minister before Blair. But he has a rather shady past. He was Oxford educated, like most of our Prime Ministers tend to be, and also a large proportion of world leaders. And one of David Icke's books mentions this, because there was a lady called Kitty Chisholm? What was her name? Chisholm? Kitty somebody. I wish I'd known this was here, I looked it up. I'm not that much of an anorak. But she, what happened was she was exposed during the Cold War as a spy for the Soviet Union, the KGB. And she said that Wilson was one too. And she said that he was also, he was a member of the Bilderberg Group, he was a member of Council on Foreign Relations or Trilateral Commission. I don't know about the Trilateral Commission, but he was a 33rd degree Freemason, and what's more, he was a member of various societies, secret societies in Oxford. And there was one occasion, I don't know if it was this Kitty, whatever her name was, woman, Kitty Little. I don't know if it was Kitty. I don't know if it was Kitty Little who actually reported this, but she went to a meeting in Oxford where he was one of the senior students or a postgraduate kind of don or expert, and he stood up and he gave a speech. This was a secret meeting, and he talked about how Britain was going to come into the New World Order, and he was the man. Yeah, this was when he was a student, so it would have been a long time ago, long before he became Prime Minister. And he said that it was his destiny, the Britain's destiny, was to enter this New World Order, and he described this New World Order. He was a member of the Fabian Society, which of course is part of that. But he said in this speech that it was Britain's destiny to enter the New World Order, and that he would be the man who would guide it through. And this was reported in one of David Icke's books. I think it was "And the Truth Shall Set You Free." But anyway, that's a bit of history. He was born in Huddersfield. He was a Yorkshireman.
His pocket, that's the question.
Yeah, man, yes, that's right. What's he about to draw out of that pocket?
UFO document that we don't.
He might be like.
He may have known something, mightn't he?
He might be Dmitry Medvedev. You know, he might have UFO documents he carries around. You know, like the Russian guy. And appropriately, you can see it's a very appropriate shot. It's shot. It's the Prime Minister of the New World Order and chemtrails in the background behind him. Very apt indeed. So, bit of interest there for you. There'll be more later. We're just going to go and meet a few more friends now. See you later. Oh, here we are. It's Huddersfield. It's the history of Ordersfeld, it was called in Old English. Spelt in the Doomsday Book. Named after Hudred or Hover, after a battle. And this castle, I don't know if that castle is still there, but here, feel free to pause and read if you want. So now I'm here in a pub called the Cherry Tree. Is it called the Cherry Tree?
Is it?
Yes, it's a
So yeah, and I'm here with Colin, who you were from earlier, and also here with Lisa. Now, Lisa, you'll know because Lisa is from the Cry Freedom radio show. Is that right?
Soon to be, I think.
Soon to be. Well, by the time you watch this film, it may well be on the air. So that's Lisa's here.
This is the bit where Ben gets his camera out and you weren't expecting it. And you have to
Sorry, Lisa. Sorry.
Anyway, just to say, it's great to be here with both of you.
Yeah.
We're here for the Exopolitics conference, which is happening tomorrow. And yeah, it's been great so far.
It's good to have you here, Lisa. Lisa, the Cry Freedom Show. And Colin here, who you remember from, who's part of the UFO Academy.
Yeah.
And we're here, as I said, to hear the 5th annual British Exopolitics Expo. So, what brings you to Exopol this year, Lisa?
Me? Well, I've just been branching out on a few different things, and I've got into this a lot more lately, thanks to you a lot on your show on Critical Mass Radio.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, just wanted to be here, really, so...
It's good we've all got together to have some with friends here. This is part of the fun, part of the joy of this thing. So you get together with friends. Oh, do you like the windshields?
Like a little mouse.
Yeah. As you can see, we've had some food, we've had some fish and chips, and we've had a couple of drinks, or more than a couple, I think. How many have we had?
There's a couple. Discussing the state of UFOs and conspiracy theories, and we've touched on everything, haven't we, in the last hour? 9/11, we've done Princess Diana.
Moon landings.
Woolwich.
Oh, the Woolwich, yeah.
JFK.
Yeah. Coming up to the 50th anniversary of JFK.
We're talking about that, and I don't know, is there anything else?
And we've got to say the chemtrails that went over Manchester and Huddersfield today, well,
they were terrible, yeah. I mean, we've had, I mean, Lisa's noticed this as well as me and Colin, that we've had a sustained, very, very intense chemtrail attack over the last 4 days, and I thought it was just the south of England, but it's actually very much prevalent up here in Yorkshire, and
UK-wide.
yeah. I mean, if anyone else lives in this area or around anywhere else in the country, you know, keep your eye on the sky, because for some reason they made this few days, and they've only got the time to massive attack. Continuous chemtrailing.
The other thing we were talking about, by the way, is this TV series called The Event, which is an American series that I watched recently. And they do focus very much on them spreading infections, airborne infections. And I sometimes look at the sky and I wonder what is going on, winter coming on.
Yep, same here. And we were also discussing a film called about the Dyatlov. Well, it wasn't about the Dyatlov Pass incident. It was about a group of young people who go to Russia to recreate the journey that these guys made in winter. And you've seen it, haven't you, Lisa? It's on Netflix.
Very interesting.
What's it called?
The Dyatlov incident, Pass incident. Very interesting.
Yeah.
It's obviously some of it is fiction.
Yeah.
It's all there.
Yeah, the real Dyatlov Pass incident actually happened in 1959, where a group of students went skiing in the winter through the Ural Mountains, and something happened one night where they all burst out of their tents and ran away in a panic without even putting their warm clothes on, which is fatal in itself in winter in the Ural Mountains. And they found the bodies. The bodies had been cooked radioactively. It's not just burnt on the outside, but it was almost like they'd been put. They were radiated on the inside. It was like, and it's never been solved whether it was some kind of test of a Soviet weapon. This was during the Soviet era, of course, or whether it was extraterrestrial. We don't know. We've never found out. But we were talking about the moon landings as well, weren't we? And about how there's this controversy over the moon landings.
Well, yeah, I mean, we were sort of edging on. I know you and me, Finn, were saying that we found the whole photographic evidence very dubious. I think that we did go to the moon, that the actual footage that was presented to the public in the 60s was either done in the studio or somewhere. And basically, that like the 9/11, really, sort of related to 9/11. That we were shown an image and we were told to accept it. Moon landings, I think there's too great a risk involved. I mean, that would have been a disaster if the shuttle had, on the way to landing men on the moon. That couldn't have been allowed to happen. So it had already been done probably many years before. And the actual footage was either pre-recorded. Some people claim it was recorded in Area 51, and they had actors, and they were filming it in the studio. That just made sense,
And
really.
there's been a film on that as well. I can't recall one was
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not denying we haven't been to the moon, but I just think there's enough questions to be asked about the footage itself that something was not quite right. And I believe that we got there by exotic technology, not by steam-driven, whatever we were allegedly flying to the moon back then. I think we had some help from either back engineering or from possibly even alien racing.
Yeah, that's it.
You can't rule it out. So you just wonder when one of these big stories is going to break. I mean, we've got the thing about JFK, Princess Diana. Who's going to, which is going to first one to suddenly people, are we going to get a proper whistleblower who's going to be able to sort of stand up and really make themselves accountable, and then people won't start thinking of it as some sort of lunatic philosophical subject.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I personally agree that I find it very unlikely we've never been to the moon when you consider the technology that has been developed by Nikola Tesla and other people. I mean, it seems that anyone who had any of the initiated scientists who have access to anti-gravity devices invented by Nikola Tesla and other scientists, or recovered from Roswell-type incidents, salvaged extraterrestrial spacecraft, will not look to the moon and say, let's go there, let's see if we can go there. I'm sure they did go there, but the Apollo program was their first official public moon mission, was not done in the way we were told it was done. I mean, NASA say, we were just lucky there was no radiation, no meteorites. Well, it's easy to say that afterwards, as Gerhard Wisniewski rightly points out. It's important to remember that after this World War II, we all heard of Operation Paperclip, haven't we? You know, the Operation... The Nazi scientists came to America. But you see, the Soviet Union had its own Operation Paperclip, and they captured a lot of the Nazi scientists for their own purposes, and a lot of the Nazis ended up working for the Soviets, and they developed a lot of the same technology that these other guys did. So, basically, the Cold War was a scam. Right? People say, why didn't the Russians blow the whistle on the Americans? The Cold War was a scam. It's provable that Western politicians and financiers bankrolled and organised the Bolshevik Revolution. The Cold War was set up in order to divide and rule people and create this fear.
Just like secret societies go beyond national boundaries, basically. I mean, the Illuminati, they're not interested really in countries and stuff. Much more violent.
Don't you find it odd, Lisa, that this fear of terrorism has only emerged after the big bad communists were defeated? You think that's odd, isn't it? It's an odd coincidence.
I think fundamentally what we've said here is that, even just getting back to what we've been talking about everything we just said, is that you can't believe what you see on the TV with the moon landings, everything. Everything we are shown is put to us on a screen, and we are automatically told to believe that. What I'm trying to say is that why do we believe it just because we see it on the screen? And the TV was the biggest indoctrination propaganda tool that they ever put out.
That's very true. Well, thanks both for... We're just going to have maybe one more or two more or three more of these, and then we've got to get to our hotel, which is not far from it. Luckily, everything is within walking distance, so we'll see you later. Yeah, see you later. The furry thing on top of the camera is a windbreak, and one of the listeners actually, one of the viewers actually sent it me. It was really nice of him.
Really? Right.
Sorry, Panmo TV viewers. We're actually sitting in a pub called the Yorkshire Rose in Huddersfield. And we're looking up in the sky, and it's just gone sunset. It's what is it now? 8 o'clock coming to 8?
No, 7:45.
7:45.
Over there, the John Smith Stadium. They just kicked off. Believe it or not.
Oh, really?
Against Blackpool.
What's that there? Oh, that's a plane. What's that?
I think I just looked at.
Look. What's that? I think it's a plane, isn't it? So I'm in sky watching mode. That's a plane. I can hear it. Yeah. But there was a state. Yeah, Blackpool are playing.
Yeah,
and
Huddersfield Blackpool, and it's at the John Smith Stadium, which is literally. You can actually see it. Over
there.
You
can just
behind that building, you'll be able to see it.
You can see the lights from it behind the pub, behind that building. But we actually saw some rather noisy youths just before you turned up, Lisa, and we thought the EDL were doing one of their protests, but it was actually Blackpool Town are actually playing Huddersfield Town, or Blackpool City, Blackpool something. They're playing Huddersfield tonight, and it's now 7:45. We still see some chemtrails in the sky. They're still spraying, but we're in a pub and we've had a good time. But it's still, it's what's the temperature like? Do you feel cold?
I don't feel bad considering it's nearly October.
Yeah, it's really, you know.
It's nice though, because it was a bit warm inside.
Yeah.
Which is good though for the end of September.
Well, we're just hyperventilating about pub prices at the moment.
Yeah. Well, we've had a new drink now, and this was really expensive. This was ridiculously expensive all round.
So you enjoy it.
We're not going to be local to this pub, I'm afraid. But I mean, we were just talking about several things, because we talked earlier about the moon landings. Well, I forgot to mention in the last segment we were talking about moon landings that we'll have more to say about that later, because Marcus Allen is one of the world's leading authorities on the subject of the moon landings and whether they're faked or not.
All right.
Is that what he's talking about tomorrow, is it?
Oh, right, wow. Okay, good.
Oh, Marcus. I've got to renew my subscription to Nexus, because I'm going to have to do it by cash, because I can't access a bank account right now, but I will renew my subscription to Nexus magazine.
Does that mean you're not getting it at the moment then?
I am, yeah, but I've got only one more issue to go.
Oh, okay.
But I do want to keep ordering it, keep paying for it.
Any sort of alternative news is important. We sort of, should show our support for alternative publications, because
Well, I order as many of them as I can, because I'll show you later my copy of Flying Saucer Review I've got with me, which is the oldest UFO magazine. Where it goes back to 1955, so it's really early old. But Nexus has been going since 1987, I believe. But I feel kind of... we were talking earlier about something interesting I wanted to raise with you. There's a BBC have got a new series called Atlantis. Have you heard about that? You were talking about it.
Only because when I went into the room and it was on the One show, and they started talking. It's going to start tomorrow. I think it's 8:30 or something. And it's actually they did the Merlin show, which is another popular show which finished, I believe, a year or so ago. But this is like they put a lot of big money in this, and it's been filmed I think it's Morocco or something. I was just watching it on TV, and they were talking to one of the actresses and that, but it was just fascinating because they were talking about the actual. They had some woman on who was discussing the actual, the myths surrounding Atlantis and where it actually is. I think she was coming up with the Santorini sort of idea, but as you were saying, the most coherent thing is the actual word Atlantis, Atlantic Ocean.
You were saying, Lisa, weren't you? Because it just struck you, didn't it?
I only got that recently.
Basically, it's in the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah. I'm happy with that, and I've heard people say it's at west of Ireland, and when it went down, actually part of the British Isles is actually part of Atlantis, and that's why there's such a lot. Maybe that's why there's so much mysticism, crop circles, druids, and things like that.
I still firmly believe there's a lot. England, UK features an island in Scotland. It's very, very, very significant.
The most in all the world, with the heart chakra of the world, and the British Isles, and it's a big. And so there's no coincidence that there are so much ancient monuments, so many ancient monuments, more than anywhere else in the world. We have these prehistoric monuments.
The theory that civilization actually began in Ireland, and there's quite a lot of people who,
Michael Tsarian talks about that.
Yeah. And
well, it's that guy that Paul had on his show, James Swagger, the Irish guy, and he's really into all of that. It's very interesting. Did you hear that one?
I heard that. Yeah, I think I heard that one. That was very interesting. But what fascinates me is that a lot of theories have come up about Atlantis, including where it is has been nominated as Sri Lanka, Antarctica. Almost anywhere, South America, almost everywhere in the world has been nominated as the location of Atlantis. The Santorini theory is that because the Santorini explosion, which is a huge volcanic eruption that had effects all over the world, it was so huge. There's a lump of rock on mainland Greece near Athens that is about it was 20 tons, and it was blown all the way from Santorini. It was so big was the explosion. The Santorini wiped out the Minoan civilization, which is like a precursor to the ancient Greek civilization, which was on the island of Crete, immediately preceding the ancient Greek, the era of the ancient Greece of classical era, and.
They said Tenerife. I mean, they've had so many different places they've mentioned over the years, but I definitely think there's some connection with the Atlantic Ocean, east coast of off of Miami. You got Bimini, and I think Casey, as I mentioned about there's been claims they found some ruins, and that would make sense because that would lead across the Atlantic Ocean and connect with Ireland and British Isles. So,
it makes. I think they were talking about something global or something maybe in several places around the world. I mean, Plato's story, you see, talked about something that happened 9,000 years ago when he wrote it, which was in just over 2,000 years ago. So the idea is that he just added an extra zero and he meant 900 years ago. But then the thing about that is that would fit in with Santorini, and there were elements of the Santorini story that fit in with Atlantis. Huge volcanic eruption destroying an ancient civilization, which the people had to begin again. That does fit in with Santorini. The problem is that Atlantis is just one of many myths around the world which tell basically the same story. The idea that we have a high civilization of it's a high culture which became corrupted and decadent and was therefore destroyed. Now this is basically a story of Noah's Ark, as well as
Didn't they also at the Atlanteans? They were responsible for the demise of Lemuria or Mu.
Something, yeah.
And there was big, things going on there. So
does Mars fit in here somewhere?
Yeah. Well, if you go to Mars, there are all kinds of strange artificial artifacts on Mars, and even mainstream scientists are now saying that Mars, a long time ago, billions of years ago, had an Earth-like climate. It had liquid water, it had oceans, rivers, lakes, which meant it must have had a much denser atmosphere than it does now, and it must have been a hell of a lot warmer. So something happened which changes Mars's climate and into what it is now. Some people say that it was the big volcanoes erupting that did it.
Some people say there were massive wars as well with entities that caused it too, don't they?
But it's possible that during this golden age of Mars, when it had a lush climate, life evolved like it was on Earth, and maybe an intelligent animal species that built Cydonia, this thing, and there's all kinds of mysteries associated with that, like Richard Hoagland talks about and other people. But the thing is, if you only have to go to Earth and find out that the Atlantis myth exists in those. It's also in the Vedas, the story of Manu in the Vedas. It's the story of Zaraleli of South Africa, the Zulu people. It's the story of Cantref y Gwaelod, the Welsh folk tale.
Plato talked about it.
Yeah. I mean, everywhere you go in the world, you hear this same story. So what? Were they copying each other?
It's not just. Yeah. It's just not. There's no smoke without fire.
Were they copying? And also, if you go back to when Plato said 9,000 years before he wrote, which is about 10 just over 12,000 years from where we are now, something did happen then which caused enormous changes in the Earth, which would have had enormous. It would have been very, very impressive to the people around witnessing it, and that was the end of the Ice Age, where the huge ice caps covering where we are now was under ice. It was like polar climate here.
It should be said that some people actually think that Atlantis is going to be coming back up. And that's, you know, a lot of his strange weather, you know, could be foretelling that coming up out of the ocean. So you know, I sort of go along with that.
Anyway, there's a new BBC series called Atlantis, which looks like a kind of piece of crap from what I've seen of the trailers. It's a kind of Robert E. Howard type reproduction. Which doesn't. I might watch it.
BBC. What can we say?
Exactly.
It's tapping into the zeitgeist of you know.
Yeah.
You know, this is getting to people talking about mythical stuff, which is not a bad thing. I mean, rather that, you know, like another EastEnders or something.
Oh God, yeah, anything more than bloody EastEnders.
I think it does sell. I mean, you know, the science fiction is very much a popular genre, and people are more interested than ever before. So we'll see how it goes. You know, I might tune in and see.
Not to see.
So when's it starting?
It's starting on Saturday, which I'm not sure when this is being broadcast, but that'll be tomorrow for us. But I'm sure it'll be on the iPlayer. This isn't a plug for it or anything. It might be a load of rubbish.
Yeah, only works for the BBC.
I might actually give it a go. I mean, from what I saw of Merlin, that looked quite interesting. That touched on themes like Merlin, and I mean, I think these ideas, you know, these go through legends. So you know, it's like the Jesus and Mary, and I was talking about earlier as well. And these things that keep coming up and again, like, you know. So
yeah. Well, you did an interesting talk at the Amash conference about Star Wars, I remember, last year.
Star Wars, and the things hidden in metaphors within Star Wars, and like, there's a lot in films, I think it's encoded in it, basically, you know, the idea of the Anunnaki or an aspect of, you know, that's Anakin Skywalker's father aspect of mankind, and you can sort of decode the films and look through it, and there's so much in film, and there's a certain magic to art. I think it's like songs and stuff. I talk about that as well, music.
Yeah. Well, you know, George Lucas, I think, knew stuff. He knew what was going on. I think he had a sensation. I mean, and also he worked very closely. One of his best friends and collaborators in the movie industry was John Carpenter. And we were talking. I think we were talking off camera about They Live.
We had the Watford Academy. Yeah. That was fun. With the glasses. You should put those glasses with you. They want our glasses. What? There was someone else's.
We don't need.
Oh yeah, do you remember?
We can see it.
Yeah. Do go and watch the Watford Academy movie we made, because that was really good. That was great fun. That was a good day. That was. Yeah. Anyway, we'll be back later. We're just going to sit and have a drink. It's very expensive
might do a Skywatch.
Yeah, it's a lot of light around, unfortunately. But
there's more chance of seeing a football come out of the stadium.
Yeah, well, if David Beckham's there, it'll probably go flying.
God.
Hello, my name's David Beckham. Well, good morning, Hapanwo TV viewers. We're up. It's 8:15 in the morning, and we've arrived at the venue, the university. The thing is, universities are big places, and now we're here, we have to find out where the venue is within the university. Now, the good news is, I mean, all the problems we had in Leeds in 2011, when there was no catering because the university was shut for summer, basically, it's not going to be a problem this time because it's term time. All the students are around, which means everything will be open. So, it's quite a grand place. Got to find a way. There's a map there, Colin. Colin and Lisa are here with me. Hey, Colin. Oh, let's have a look. Where's the Exopolitics department? God, it's a big place. So where we must be? I think we're here, aren't we? Where are we? Yeah. Sports Hall is 6, so we've just gone past this, so we're here. There we are, you are here.
Education. I'm just trying to find what the actual...
University of Huddersfield there. It's a big place. Ooh. I suppose you better go in and just ask for the... What's that? That's the International Study Centre. We want Interplanetary Study Centre. Not quite the same. Anyway, I'm very excited. I didn't sleep too well last night. I think I was just... Woke up at 4 in the morning, couldn't get back to sleep. I've got my t-shirt on ready. My crop circle making t-shirt. We're all ready to go. We've just got to find the venue now. Look at that chimney pot there. There's an awful lot of these sort of phallic symbols in Huddersfield. I don't know if I haven't seen any domes or arches around anyway, because it's not Illuminati, but it's probably just a real chimney. But do we old Fred Dibner, Lisa?
Yes.
Oh, here you go.
I'm not chilling up there.
No, he'd be up that ladder with no... He's amazing, that guy. Just go up the ladder, no harness, big tool bag dragging behind. See, you got to be careful doing this. One slip and you got your day out with the Undertaker. And this is the 3M Buckley Innovation Centre at the University of Huddersfield. And that, as you see there, is where the conference is going to be held. But now we've got to find our way in. And we saw a sign a minute ago pointing us this way. I think we're going too far. But see, we're going over another river now. Well, I think the other one was a canal, but this is the building it's in. But I'll show you the signs. I reckon someone's trying to. Those girls are trying to confuse us. Maybe they're skeptics, and they're trying to confuse. I'll show you the sign where we were told to go. There's a lot of building sites around here, I've noticed. It's like they're rebuilding Huddersfield from the ground up. So you come here in a little while, you might not recognise it, but I'll show you the sign. It's down this road here, which runs between. This is all the university, and it's this building here, the 3M Buckley Innovation Centre. There's the reception where we were. There's the sports hall. That's where we came in. That's the building I showed you first. And there's the reception. We're here. Are they with us?
No, the sign there.
Is it?
It could be that building there.
Because there's another one over here, look. This is getting confusing. I reckon they're skeptics trying to put us off the scent.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. That's a skeptic dog. But I reckon Brian Cox has already been here. If only Heidi was here. But look, I'll show you there's these signs everywhere. Look. Oh. He said that it was this building. Oh, sorry. Well, we'll come back to you later because I think someone's trying to confuse us. Well, we found the venue. It's here. These lecture theatres, and there's the people in there. You see. So we're here now. It's actually not in the building we were told to go to. It's just by that big tower there, just behind this big building here. And there's the 3M building. But we've made it. That's the main thing. So let's go. All ready to go. I think I've got my wristband on, and identification, so everyone knows it's me. So everyone knows that I paid my ticket and everything. So that's all sorted out. Well, hospital porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. I've just come a little way from the venue now, where that chimney is. But it's great. I'll show you the auditorium later. It's like in Leeds again. I like the static gallery from last year, but the seats weren't very good. That's the only downside of the static gallery. I'm just on this bridge over the river now, here in Huddersfield. But this is really, it was really interesting. Anthony introduced it, and I did a little speech too. He asked me to introduce this thing called a petition against government internet censorship, and I'll tell you about that later, because I'm going to write an article on that on the Hapanwo blog. So keep an eye on the Hapanwo Voice blog, and you'll see that I write an article about that. But Anthony did this introduction where he basically just gave a history of extraterrestrial, the search for extraterrestrial life and the concept of extraterrestrial life, and the theory of biology, which is of course where life comes from on Earth. But it's more prevalent than you might think and more mainstream, because there was a World Economic Forum last year in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, in which Nick Pope attended. I remember. It was a World Economic Forum, but it had a whole section on the discovery of alien life and the potential implications of that. And I remember that very well. And of course, the idea from Arthur C. Clarke's stories and other science fiction stories go back a long, long way. In fact, the idea of life on other worlds or other planets, it's quite ancient, actually. And there was a headline in 1957, I think it was all just after the Sputnik launch, where there was a sign in the New York Times saying, "Prepare for the discovery of life in outer space." And that was a headline in the New York Times. And at the same time, the Brookings Institute, which I've spoken about before, published a report stating that it would not be a good idea, if you found extraterrestrial life, to shout it from the rooftops. So later on, of course, when this Mars meteorite was found, which had fossilised microbes on it, or what looks like fossilised microbes, it was played down. Exactly the same happened when they found things like the face on Mars and the other structures on Mars that look artificial. And it's a funny thing about Mars is, I mean, it's not fringe, it's mainstream to say that Mars was once much more like Earth. A long time in the past, billions of years ago, maybe before life evolved on Earth, Mars was Earth-like. It had, I mean, today it's extremely dry, extremely cold, and there's a very thin atmosphere. But at one point there was flowing water on the surface. There was an ocean, there were lakes, rivers, rainfall presumably, a water cycle, which means that it must have had a much denser atmosphere back then, and it must have been a hell of a lot warmer. Possibly warm enough for life to evolve, and maybe an intelligent animal species that perhaps built things like the face on Mars. So maybe, you know, all the people take the piss out of Richard Hoagland and that, but maybe they shouldn't. Maybe he's just willing to go and look at things that, because of the Brookings report, other people are not willing to look at, and NASA are not willing to look at. Another thing that was played down was the data from probes that have landed on Martian surface, and this, of course, there's things like the Curiosity rover now and the Spirit rover, but it goes back a long way. In fact, the Viking probes were landed on Mars in 1976, and they had experiments on board to test for gas exchange in the soil, which was an indicator of life. And they found gas exchange where oxygen was produced, and they said it was a chemical reaction because there was hydrogen peroxide in the Martian soil. You know, hair dye, basically. Blonde hair dye in the Martian soil. And there's an awful lot more that Professor Wickramasinghe is going to talk about later on, which I'll tell you about. But of course they've been searching for extrasolar planets, that is, planets that are out there but orbit a different star, not our sun. And they found Earth-like ones, and people are now searching them all. There's even a guy looking for a sign that there's a highly sophisticated alien society that has managed to encircle its own sun with artificial structures to tap it for energy. And there's a book called The Ring Makers of Saturn, and the idea that Saturn's rings might be artificial, because William Herschel, the astronomer, hundreds of years ago, he saw strange lights moving across the rings of Saturn. And you know, it seems you know, how do you recognise life on other planets, you see? Because all the traces are there that look towards this in terms of biology, chemistry, and also, you know, signs of artificial structures. But these can always be passed off as coincidence, and this is the big problem. And I'll come on to that again later, because I've got to go back now because Andrew Johnson is on in a minute. See ya. Now that was interesting. I just saw Andrew Johnson talking about a lot of the same things that Anthony Beckett talked about, but he went into more detail about the tests for life on Mars. And there's a lot of people who've been analysing the data sent from the Phoenix and Curiosity and Spirit rovers, and they found all sorts of strange things like mud and things like that. But the real discovery actually went back to the first missions, the first probes to land on Mars, which were the Viking landers, and they had an experiment which produced, as I said before, hydrogen peroxide, but also other things that related to the very things that the scientists said that needed to be there if there was life. They changed their minds. They raised the bar, as skeptics do, to say no, it was a chemical reaction, things like that. But Andrew's shown actually, that even the photos from the Viking mission were altered to make them look redder and less Earth-like, so that the red colour was sort of added on extra. Before, the actual colour of the Martian landscape, it was more like an Earth landscape. It had a blue sky, had a grey coloured rock. So that's an interesting thing, isn't it? And so that's some of the things that Andrew Johnson went into. Andrew, of course, normally he talks about other subjects as well, like 9/11 and the moon landings. But there's a guy called Ron Bennett who has photographs of the Martian soil, the microscopic photographs, or he's analysed the photographs of the Martian soil, which show fast-moving specks, which look like microbes, just like the ones found on that meteorite. There's a guy called Charles Schultz who has found larger creatures, megafauna, like things that look like seashells and bones of large creatures. And these guys have approached NASA with their results, and NASA haven't been interested. They just don't want to know. There's large, from the Mars Global Surveyor of 1998, there are strange things like what looks like forests and even artificial structures like quarries. And then there's the golf ball dome. That's amazing. It's this structure in the middle of a crater that looks like a golf ball. It's a geodesic dome. It's artificial, and Andrew uses that as his avatar. And I've spoken before about the Avery-Sidonia connection and things like that, but there's other stuff. There's like the monoliths on Phobos, one of the moons of Mars. And even you go further out in the solar system, you get to Saturn, and there's all kinds of strange things going on Saturn. Like Iapetus, one of the moons of Saturn, has these artificial structures on it. And Richard Hoagland talked a little bit about the artificial structures in the rings, but he's not here today. He's probably getting his hair done or something, like Richard Hoagland does. And also the SOHO images of the sun are very, very famous. There's lots of strange objects appearing on them, and lots of people, amateur astronomers and researchers, have done frame-by-frame analysis of the SOHO images, including a YouTube friend of mine, actually, Light Reader. I don't know if you're watching Light Reader. Thank you very much, because you're one of the guys who discovered a lot of this stuff. Now, whether these objects in the SOHO images of the sun are extraterrestrial, whether they're from the secret space program, who knows? But they're definitely not comets and things like that, which is how NASA are trying to explain them away. So all in all, that was a very, very interesting presentation there from Andrew Johnson. I've got to make this brief because I've only got a short break, but there's lunch break coming up, and I've got one of these to eat anyway, which is a muffin. That's from Rachel's stall. Beautiful, that chocolate muffin, only £1.50. See you later. Oh, hello again. Hospital reporters, Pride and Dignity, Stop the New World Order. And we've just been seeing Marcus Allen, who is a guy I've spoken about before.
I ordered a
Lots of pizzas, we're actually in the Students' Union bar at the moment, and there's a little cafeteria here, and we're having a food here. And we were talking about Marcus Allen, and he's an interesting guy because he's the British publisher of Nexus magazine, which of course, as you know, I read. And he says that the moon landings are faked. And I've spoken about this before, but basically, and you're probably familiar with the arguments about it, but it's to do with the fact that the evidence in the photographic record and the films and other things just don't add up. And this is a very controversial issue within the exopolitics movement, because I know there's a lot of people in it who don't agree, and even within the truth movement, there's a lot of contention over this issue. But I agree with Marcus. But it was very civilised, and people were very polite to him, and he recently spoke at the British Interplanetary Society, which is really, really brave of him, because this is the people who are most against that whole idea, and he got a lot of grief for it, a hell of a lot of grief for the British Interplanetary Society letting him speak there. So hats off to Marcus for that. Really, it was really, really interesting. Okay, I'll see you later. I've got to eat. Hello, yeah, the conference is over, so I didn't get a chance to film after telling you about Marcus Allen, but Richard Dolan was on, and he did. I mean, I've covered Richard Dolan before, but he's this historian. He talks about the history of the UFO cover-up. And what he did today, he did a 2-hour show, which is probably the best one I've ever seen from him. He went right into the background of it all, and I found that really, really fascinating. I'm in a pub now, drinking this, which is organic cider, and I'll talk to you a little bit more later. I'm pretty tired actually, but I'll tell you about Professor Chandra Wickrama Singh as well, but I'll do it later. All right, I'll see you later. Hello again, everyone. We're still here. I've had a couple more of these, and I'm here with Kirsty. You must know Kirsty because she's been on before. Hello.
Hello. Hi.
Kirsty
Hello.
made some lovely sandwiches today, and she made some lovely tea.
Yeah.
And they couldn't have had this conference without her, basically.
No. Or Catherine or or the twins, or Lisa. Like, loads of people helped. It was a pleasure to facilitate the ufologists. So I think they've got a lot of good things to say. But what I'm hoping is, we're not actually staying in the premiere inn with them, but we've informed the reception that there's quite a few experts on UFOs in the hotel. So me and Lisa are staying about a mile down the road, but we're actually hoping we get abducted.
Are you at the Travelodge?
No, we're at this like sinister guest house.
Oh, shit.
We're like, you'll never leave Royston Basin sort of guest house.
Oh, right. Oh, we're staying at the boring old Travelodge, I'm afraid. But I mean, this is the place, if you're going to get abducted, this is the place, isn't it, with all these ufologists?
Definitely. I'm hoping that there's a couple buzzing in the stratosphere at the minute. So, I mean, who have we got here? Richard Dolan.
We got Richard
Dolan.
Dolan.
A lot of interest in Richard, aren't they?
Yeah, there's Richards that are everywhere in ufology. There's like every other ufologist called Richard, and we've got Anthony Beckett, and we've got Andrew Johnson, and Professor Chandra Wickrama Singh, and of course all of us other people, and truthers and people like that. You know, it's like. But I'll certainly be doing a kind of informal sky watch on my walk back to the hotel.
Definitely.
Yeah, but thanks for everything you've done, and I want to thank Anthony, and I want to thank AM,
Cool.
and of course all the speakers. And it's been wonderful, hasn't it? It's been a wonderful. It's just the only problem with these one-day events is you just can't get into them before they're all over. It's like you need 2 days.
Get into the van.
I mean, I understand that. I understand the sort of like financial problems that this event has, but I do miss those 2-day events. I hope the next one will be 2 days. You know, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think 2 days.
Yeah. 2 day. Let's have a 2-day Exopol next year.
Can I just say one other thing? I love Ben and Emlyn Jones, and I love her Pamwell TV.
Oh, that's the spirit. She's my favourite. I love Kirsty. I love Kirsty too. I love Truth Juice Hole. You remember? Yeah, you remember Kirsty from Truth Juice Hole? Yeah.
Fabulous.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. So I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
And I'm a bit drunk now. And a bit
Okay,
tired.
thank you, Ben.
So
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And say, hospital porters, Pride and Dignity, stop the New World Order. Well, hospital porters, Pride and Dignity, stop the New World Order. Welcome to Panwo TV. I'm back in my hotel room now. That's match of the day, I think. Yeah. I'll just put the sound down one moment. I'll put the sound down on this. Excuse me one moment. The Panmo TV viewers, I'm just really exhausted. Turn the sound down on the telly. Sorry if I haven't been filming as much as I normally do. I've just been at the pub with some friends, and it's just been like really tiring. But I've just had a lovely. Basically, what happened was after the last time I filmed. Well, I did film a bit in the pub, but the second part of the conference had Richard Dolan and Professor Chandra Wickrama Singh. I told you Richard Dolan, that was one of the best. I don't know how to go into it in detail because I'm too tired to go into detail, quite frankly. But basically, watch the videos or DVDs of the event. That was got to be the finest speech by Richard Dolan I've ever seen. He had 2 hours, 2.25 hours on stage, and he basically he really went into the history of it all, where it was the whole analysis of the UFO movement, the UFO truth embargo, as Stephen Bassett calls it, and it was incredibly. I think he's progressed actually since I last saw him. I think Richard Dolan has matured and he's become more worldly wise regarding the disclosure issue. I think he has a deeper understanding now than he did when he wrote AD with Bryce Sable and when he spoke in Leeds in 2011. I think he has more of an understanding about, as I've always said, the the implications of the whole disclosure thing, which I never thought he really appreciated before. And I said this to him because if you listen to our Planet X radio, did I put the link in? Just hang on. If you listen to the show I did on Planet X radio with him, I actually asked him this question. I think there'll be a link. There'll be a link in the description box. I've got to remember all these damn description box links. There's too many of them. Excuse me one moment, Panmo TV viewers. I won't be in like a second. I'll just lose track of everything I'm doing. Yeah, I've got it on there. Yeah. And that's basically where I think he's at the moment, which is he's at a big kind of juncture in his career and his work. So again, I think he's becoming more worldly wise. Basically, Richard Dolan is. And like I said, I'm too tired to go into detail. I'm sorry about this. I've got to get up really early because my coach leaves at 7:10 in the morning. So I hope you'll excuse me if I'm not all that erudite. Anyway, I'm going to do souvenirs now. Okay. Interesting souvenirs this week. I've got my notebook. This is my notebook. Oh, these rolls. Basically, this is AM's roll. AM and Kirsty and everyone else who did the catering, they were going to throw these away, and they basically said help yourself to any unsold rolls. So I'm going to, because I've got a long journey ahead of me tomorrow, and these will keep me going for the journey. So I've got quite a lot of these tuna mayo and egg and cress rolls. They will go down very nicely tomorrow, I'm sure. Right, this was a flyer that was left on everybody's seat. Badger watching the new government hobby. 5,000 badgers to be shot in a pilot in 2030. Over 100,000 likely to be killed. Help protect badgers. Yeah, and this is basically talks about the government is planning a badger cull in order to prevent bovine tuberculosis, but it's an obscenity. It's crazy. The badger. I'm the emblem of the wildlife trust. I'm a species that evolved before the ice age. I'm going to be shot. I'm the greatest source of pleasure, and it's basically this little leaflet. It takes apart the whole argument about the need to kill badgers and to cull badgers, and it basically exposes it for the monstrosity that it is. Why are you killing badgers? These beautiful creatures that were formerly protective, and now they've been killed. A walk in the woods will never be the same again. Yeah, they're doing it now. They've been doing it in Northern Ireland, in Ireland, not in Northern Ireland, but they're planning a pilot scheme. I think in Somerset, they're going to kill 5,000 badgers in Somerset. It's a disgrace. Luckily, people like Brian May, the rock star from Queen, he's onto it. That's the flyer for the conference. If you remember that. Yeah, that's the flyer I showed you earlier. Adventures Unlimited, summer fall 2013. Oh, this is a book I get from Adventures Unlimited Press. Funny enough, I wrote off to David Hatcher Childress just asking him a question about the Bryn Celli, the Neolithic burial chamber in Wales, and about some of the anomalies associated with that. I didn't ask for his brochure, but he didn't reply to my message, my query, but he sent me the brochure nonetheless. But that doesn't matter, it's quite nice to read. There's some interesting books in there, I might even buy some. So that's Adventures Unlimited Press, David Hatcher Childress' company. This is my map of Huddersfield. Yeah, this is it. I'm up here somewhere. I'm off the map actually. That's where the hotel is, and my bus station's there. So that's it. I've got a map. Flying Saucer Review. This is a copy of the Winter 2010 Flying Saucer Review. This is the oldest UFO magazine in the world. Been running since I think 1955 or something, and it's still going today. So I'm glad I picked that up from the UFO Academy. If you remember, I was there. There's lots of interesting things there. Oh, someone handed me this flyer. Unexplained conference, Halloween 26th of October, Glenwood Hotel, Margate. I might get to that. It's Gary Heseltine, David Weatherly of the Black Eyed Kids fame, Ian Mandy of the Witchcraft, Scott Costello. Yep, it looks like a good event. If I'll get there, I'll get there if I can. Right. Well, yeah, this is a book I'm reading at the moment. The Prague Cemetery by Umberto Eco. The thing is, I'm very fond of, as you can imagine, knowing my interests, I'm very fond of conspiracy fiction. And of course, the most famous conspiratorial fiction writer in the world at the moment is Dan Brown. But the thing about it is, Dan Brown, despite the fact I do enjoy Da Vinci Code, I've only read Da Vinci Code and Angels and Demons. I didn't like Angels and Demons. I did like the Da Vinci Code, but one thing I think notice about Dan Brown, he's very simplistic. He's very sort of like one-dimensional, really, compared to Umberto Eco, he's written books like The Name of the Rose, that was made into a very famous film, and Foucault's Pendulum, which is a great conspiratorial fictional novel. And the thing about him is he's very, very sophisticated. He's very intellectual, and it's like in the media today they want sound bites, they want shallowness, they don't want intellect, they don't want sophistication, they don't want deep thinking writers. I mean, there's another writer called Kate Moss, not the supermodel, she's got E at the end of Moss. She wrote a book called The Labyrinth, which is very like Umberto Eco. Again, it's intellectual, it's thought-provoking, it challenges the reader. And of course, she's not as famous as Dan Brown either. So there's a bit of a sense of injustice there, I think. And it says a lot about our media today, that simplicity and one-dimensionality seems to be the order of the day. Sound bites, that's what they want. So that's my book I'm going to be reading tomorrow. Oh, there's another book here I brought, which I've read some of. What is it? Let's have a look. Oh yeah, it's Unhitched by Richard Seymour, The Trial of Christopher Hitchens. And look at that face of Christopher Hitchens. What a grimace. He must have had a few glasses of whiskey there, I'll tell you. Basically, I think I've mentioned Christopher Hitchens before. I've certainly written about him on the Hapanwo blog. If you go to the Hapanwo blog, I've mentioned him several times. I've read two of his books, Hitch 22, his autobiography, and God Is Not Great. So I thought I really ought to read the other side of the story. And this book by Richard Seymour is very, very critical of him indeed. I think I finished it, I think. Yeah, I think I've nearly finished the book. It's very critical and very, very scathing of him indeed, and it's always good to read both sides of every story. So I'm determined to read the anti-Christopher Hitchens literature just as much as I am the pro-Christopher Hitchens or Hitchens' own writing. And of course, Christopher Hitchens is now dead, but Richard Seymour does not believe that you shouldn't speak ill of the dead. So he does speak ill of the dead here, I tell you. So I think that's all the souvenirs I've got now. I'm basically now just going to go to bed because I have to get up. I hope I wake up on time. I've got an alarm clock. I've got to get up. My coach leaves at 7:10, so I've got to be up on time. Maybe I'll set my alarm for 6. I'm going to have a cup of tea before I go to bed. It shouldn't be a problem. I mean, when I was at Porto, I used to get up at 4:30 for my early shifts, so surely it shouldn't be a problem. Oh, I've still got my little wristband on here. I've actually written on it. I've written Exopol 2013 because I want to keep this as a souvenir because I kept the one from last year. So this is my identity band. When I came in and registered, they gave me this so everyone would know that I was a delegate. So I haven't taken it off yet, and I'm going to leave it on. I might take it off before I go to bed, but I'll have to cut it off, unfortunately. But I want to keep it as a souvenir. Anyway, I'm going to go to bed now. So good night, everyone, and sweet dreams. Hope I don't get any sleep paralysis tonight. Oh, that's it. I'm off to bed. God, I'm tired, and I've got I can get up and on time, as I said. I should be able to. It's kind of like it's a strange feeling, this being a one-day conference, and I mean, I know that there may well be reasons, financial or otherwise, that Exopolitics, the 2013, the 5th Exopolitics Expo, had to be just one day. But I find it disconcerting. I do. It's like the whole atmosphere of one-day conferences are totally different to two-day conferences. No matter what the subject matter, no what the location, no matter anything, it's to do with the speed that it all begins and all ends. It's like You go in, it begins, it's all over. And it's like that I find I don't know, it's kind of lamentable. The good news is I'm going to Probe next week, and the Probe is Probe is a 2-gate conference still. I just feel very I don't feel I'm not satisfied with what's happened. It feels kind of sad. It feels like incomplete. Do you know what I mean? I still love it though. I'm glad I've been here. And well, I'm actually going to the UFO Truth magazine conference in November, which is also another 1-day conference. And so, you know, I don't mind 1-day conferences. It's just they're different to 2-day. They're different in feel, in atmosphere, regardless of the content. They are just different in spirit. And with that thought, I shall now descend into sleep, and hopefully not sleep paralysis, as I said. And I wish you all a pleasant night and sweet dreams, and I'll see you in the morning. Night night. The hospital porter's pride and dignity. Stop the New World Order. Welcome to Panmo TV. It's now 20 to 7 in the morning. This is Huddersfield early on a Sunday morning, which is probably the best time to see it. Everything's quiet and the air's fresh. In a few minutes I'll be getting on my coach home. It seems a long time ago when I arrived here. It's only 2 days ago. But it's been a good conference. As I said last night, you know, 1-day conferences, no matter what the content and the atmosphere, they have a very, very different spirit to 2-day conferences. Nevertheless, it's been a great conference. 1-day conferences have a enjoyment factor of their own. And I've certainly learnt a few things, I'll tell you. I've seen Richard Dolan give the best speech I've ever seen him give, with some very new ideas that he's never expressed before. I've seen Marcus Allen, Andrew Johnson talking about the moon and the planets. Anthony Beckett introducing this fascinating subject of astrobiology. And I've seen Professor Chandra Wickramasinghe. Now, I learnt an awful lot from him, and I misquoted his ideas earlier on because I said that panspermia is the idea that life can travel from one planet to another through space by natural means. What Professor Chandra's ideas actually are is actually that life itself originated in space. Life itself, the universe essentially, is not the sterile, infinite cosmic desert that mainstream would have us believe, but it's actually teeming with life. And in the Q&A, I'm sorry I never got to film in the auditorium, but it was like a kind of lecture theatre type thing, like in 2011. He was explaining actually that life probably originated, these organic compounds have been found in the very distant universe through the Hubble Space Telescope. Now this has met with a lot of hostility, and as I've said before, it seems to be very important to the powers that be that we see this universe as dead, that we see this Earth as a kind of cosmic oasis in an infinite, sterile vacuum of a desert, an infinite cosmic desert. And I don't know why it's so important that for the powers that be that we the people have that attitude and have that idea, but it's very important for them. Oh, it's time to go home, and I've had a lovely, I met up with Colin and Lisa, as you'll see earlier on, and I want to thank everyone. I want to thank all the speakers. I want to thank Anthony and Rachel Beckett, AM, Kirsty, and everyone else who helped make this event possible, and I look forward very much to the next one. And what's more, in November I'm coming back to West Yorkshire because I'm attending And Gary Heseltine's UFO Truth Conference, that's another one-day event in Holmfirth, this beautiful little village or town where they filmed Last of the Summer Wine. And it's absolutely, if you've seen the programme, very, very well known, successful comedy series, you'll know what I mean. Until then, well, next week I'm going to probe, so I'll be on tour before then. So thanks for sharing this with me, Panwo TV viewers. It's been great having you along. Hospital porters, pride and dignity, stop the New World Order. Thank you. Bye-bye. It's still there. It's been hidden by another one, but it's still there. Brilliant. MindsetCentral.com. Yeah. Hey.